What is happening, my friends? It's Mr. Jonathan Budd, and today I want to talk about one of the most fundamental principles to creating success that exists in the world. It's something that certainly if you're one of my friends and you know me at all, you know it's actually an area of strength about my life, and it has something to do with being psychotic. No, I'm just kidding. It has a little bit to do with being psychotic, but not, the bad kind of psychotic, the good kind of psychotic. But what we're going to talk about, my friends, what I want to drill into all of us today, and what I want all of us to adopt on a new level today, is an increased commitment to our own hard work ethic, okay? Because the reality of life, this is the absolute reality, and this is actually something that a lot of people who enter into the home-based business industry, who enter into online marketing, who enter into entrepreneurship, somehow mistake. Somehow there's this mistake, and I want to clarify a lot of things today, so make sure you watch this whole video, because you're going to get some new belief systems, some new memes, some new things to try on that are going to help you approach creating success in your business in a vastly superior way than what I think most people are doing, okay? So make sure you watch this whole video. But the sad truth is that there's this huge mistake that's made in a lot more people than you'd think attitude towards success, which is somehow that it's going to be easier. Somehow starting a business, somehow making money online, somehow all these things, accomplishing all these things we want to do is actually easier than the other life we're living. It's easier than going to our job. It's easier than doing this. It's easier than doing that. We have this concept almost where we think like our business and making money is somehow almost like a ticket. It's like a lottery ticket, and we're just going to hit it big if we do the right things and we play the right numbers, and we'll have to do way less work, and then all of our problems will be gone. There's some element of this mentality that actually exists in our industry. And what I first want to do is highlight the lunacy of that, the absolute craziness of that, and I want to shatter, I want to destroy any particular belief system that you may have that still has even a shred of thinking like that. An absolute shred of the sort of lottery mentality that's, if I buy this program, if I join this opportunity, if I start this business, if I do this, then somehow I'm going to be successful. The reality is that's not true. What's in between here and here, the somehow, is the most insane amount of hard work that you've ever seen in your life. That is the flat out reality. There is no success without sweat, okay? And what we're going to illuminate in this video is the actual sweat equity it takes, because sweat is equity. There is equity in sweat. Sweat is an asset at a certain level, and I want to highlight all of that today, because once you understand that your sweat equity is actually the asset that has the ability to pay you long term in the end, then it's going to change your whole approach to viewing sweat equity, really hard work, insane amounts of just straight up work where you're sweating it out day in and day out, learning new skills, taking on new challenges, growing your business, just purely sweating it out every day, which is what a lot of people somehow think they're going to get to avoid, which is not true. Nobody who's successful gets to avoid this. You have to sweat more than you can even think you can sweat right now. And the reality is once you understand that it is that sweat equity that actually equals all of your assets. It equals your future skill sets. It equals your future list. It equals your future business. It equals all the future that you want for yourself. Then all of a sudden your attitude towards this hard work changes, and you begin to look at it as a gift, and you begin to say, how can I get more? How can I work harder? How can I take on bigger challenges? How can I be forced into even crazier intense work situations? And this is the mindset, my friends, that when you adopt this mindset, when you adopt it, is what leads to humongous breakthroughs in your life and business. It's what leads to you taking things on a whole new level, no matter where you're at, no matter what your background is, no matter what your skill level is, no matter what your age is. When you have the understanding of, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to sweat to reach my goals, but it's in the process of sweating that I actually develop all of the assets, all of the true skills, all of the true talents, all of the assets are developed in this sweating process right here. When you understand that, There's no way you could possibly want to avoid this sweating process. And you see that the lottery ticket mentality that so many people have is insane. That they are literally avoiding the only thing that equals any value in this business, in life, which is the work you put in to create the results, the work you put in to create the value. The only thing that's of any value is this right here, the work that you put in. And it's crazy when we try to avoid it. We try to skirt around doing that work. Oh, I don't want to, have to get my hands dirty with ads. Oh, I don't want to have to get my hands dirty with writing web copy. Oh, I don't want to have to learn about how to deal with somebody on Odesk to set up a capture page or a website or whatever the heck it is. When we try to skirt around the sweat, the hard work, that's when we get in all the trouble. That's when we, start spinning our wheels. That's when we, don't produce any results, when we start getting frustrated. That's when each thing we try doesn't lead to anything. It's when we skirt around the hard work. When we just right around the hard work, that's when everything stinks, okay? But when we look at this ball of amazingly hard work that is in front of all of us, okay? I don't care who you are, you don't get to escape how much work it takes to be successful. You don't get to escape it. Nobody gets to escape it. So when you stare head on at this heaping amount of work that is in front of you, and I want you to know it's a lot of work, okay? When I put this work in front of me, it's literally, holy smokes, learning how to market, learning how to write ads, learning how to make sales, learning how to close people on the phone, learning how to be a leader, learning how to do this. There's all this work. And the only way that you actually develop these skills, is sweat. It's purely going through each and every process and investing your time, your money, and your energy. That's the only way that you truly, truly, truly learn anything. Here's what I mean by that. On the spectrum of hard work that's in front of you, let's just say, for example, with a network marketing business, right? You've got to pretty much learn lead generation, right? You've got to learn how to create audience and create prospects. You've got to learn closing. You've got to learn how to close people. You've got to learn leadership development. You've got to learn some interpersonal dynamics and skills so that you can actually cause other people to be leaders and cause other people to duplicate. Those are some of the simple things you got to learn, right? But to get the leads, well, you've got to learn, some sort of advertising, right? You got to be able to learn how to create an ad and put it out in front of an audience and lure them back in. So let's just take this as an example. Those are just 4 or 5 skills, right? Nothing too complex, 4 or 5 skills that if you master, could make you millions and millions of dollars a year. Not a bad deal. So let's look at this, right? How do you actually learn these skills? And I want to make this big distinction because training is essential. You don't even know about these skills until somebody's actually teaching you about them, right? So once we actually take the first step, which is reaching out to get mentorship, once we reach out to get mentorship, all of a sudden we start being shown what to do. So we're shown, here's how to create an ad. We're shown, here's how to close on the phone. We're shown, here's how to be a leader. We're shown, here's how to write a headline, right? We're shown these things. But how do we actually develop those skills ourselves? How do we actually develop those talents ourselves? What you see is not a talent that you have, is it? Just because I look over there at that person golfing, which literally there's somebody golfing over there, and I can watch everything they do, I'm being shown golf, it doesn't mean I have the skill of golf. Doesn't mean I've developed the talent, the ability. How am I going to develop that talent and that ability? Does it matter how many hours of golf I watch? Does it matter if Tiger Woods sits and tells me for 3 weeks straight exactly how to golf? When I step up to hit that ball, how good am I going to be? How much talent am I going to have? How do I actually learn and get that talent? Well, the only way that I learn and get that talent is by doing it. That is the absolutely only way that I actually learn and get the talent. The only way I develop the skill. The only way I create the asset. because it's all about creating assets here, my friends. You've got to understand that you are your biggest asset. Your skills are your biggest assets. Your talents are your biggest assets. You could take away every freaking thing I have right now and literally put me back at square one, and within 12 months, I'd be earning millions of dollars again, because the money has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. It's my skills, it's my talents, it's my abilities that create the money. I know how to market, I know how to create audiences, I know how to influence, I know how to do these things. That's what equals the money. How did I get that? By pure and humongous amounts of sweat equity, by literally diving into every single facet of what it takes to being successful and getting my hands dirty. I spent hundreds of hours on the phone, cold calling, closing, building teams. And once I got that skill down, then I learned how to do it with videos. And I spent probably thousands of hours making videos, learning how to interact with people, learning how to influence people for videos. I spent probably hundreds of hours writing sales pages. I can't tell you how many sales pages I've written. I can't tell you how many headlines I've wrote. I can't tell you how much copy I've written, how many emails I've written over the last 5 to 6 years. But it's an insane amount. I mean, hundreds, thousands of hours of just writing copy. I can't tell you how long I've spent invested with my sweat, practicing, laboring, working my ass off to the freaking weary hours of the night to develop these skills. And if you think that it's any different for any of us, you're crazy. You're crazy, because the only way you get these skills is by committing yourself to the hard work, the pure, laborious work that it takes to develop them, that it takes to put the time and the energy and the commitment into creating your new skills and your new assets. And what I want to get across today, my friends, the meme that I want you to walk away with from this point forward, because I think a lot of us have a meme, which literally means belief system, right? We have a memetic, which is like its technical definition is in a unit of consciousness. And we have these memes, which equal beliefs, surrounding all these things in our life. And a lot of us have this meme of, I shouldn't have to work this hard, or it shouldn't be so hard, or it should be easier, or, you know, somehow, you know, something should be different than what it is. A lot of times we have this meme, right? It wasn't supposed to be like this. And that's the biggest crock of crap ever. Success is no accident. It's perfectly engineered by the universe, okay? In order to be successful, you have to follow a very specific criteria of steps that really very few, in fact, nobody gets to escape. And part of those steps is what I've been referring to as sweat equity. It's simply putting in the time to develop the skills. So once we know this, then our whole attitude can change around hard work. All of a sudden, we can begin to look at hard work as the very gift that's going to lead to all of our success. And instead of dreading and avoiding all the hours we're going to have to spend, you know, figuring out how to create a pay-per-click ad on Facebook, or learning how to create a capture page, or figuring out how to write our own webinar and create a webinar, or figuring out, you know, how to generate a prospect through a survey and close them into our business, or whatever it might be, all of a sudden our attitude towards this changes. And we begin to look at it as a gift. We begin to look at it as, oh my God, that's actually the lottery ticket. The lottery ticket is the hard work. The gateway is the hard work. My freedom is the hard work. The money is the hard work. All the results, all the everything that I want to create in life actually is the hard work. It is the pure difficulty of that work that leads to all the money. Because I have a secret for you, my friends. This is something that I don't think a lot of people figure out. The more difficult the work is, the bigger the payoff. When something is hard to master, when it's not easy to figure out, when it takes every ounce of energy you have, when you have to invest your life, your heart, your soul, your mind, your talent, your skills, your energy, your family, your time, when you have to invest all of that, really invest it into something, guess what? The payoff of work like that is substantially bigger than work that, isn't so hard. you know, I can do that. Whatever, I'll take care of that. Blah, blah, blah. When work gets too easy, that's when we know that we're not even living close to our full potential and we're not experiencing close to the results we're capable of producing. What you literally want to look for in your life, this is what you want to look for. You constantly want your work to feel challenging. You want your work to feel difficult because that's how you know you're actually at your edge. That's how you know that the work you're doing is actually going to lead to you producing the highest possible results that are at your current potential level. Here's what's cool though. Once you master that work, once you get that level of difficult work down, all of a sudden that becomes easy. Like right now, it's freaking easy as heck for me to earn about $4 to $5 million a year. I mean easy. I don't have to spend much time. It's not very difficult. All it is work, right? I just have to do the work, but it's pretty easy to me. And that's how I know that I've reached a max at where I'm at. And that's why right now, where I focus most of all of my time is on going out there and doing harder work. I'm literally looking for harder work. I'm looking for work that is pulling me out of my comfort zone, that is totally challenging, totally new, stuff that I know nothing about. Because I know that now that I've mastered this level of work and skill sets and it's produced this level of result, now I want to go master way harder stuff. Because I know that if it's way harder, it's going to produce this level of result. And this is the level of result that I'm now seeking, that I'm now after to expand my own personal potential, right? So each of us is different. Each of us has our own threshold. It's your job to find the work that is at your threshold, okay? And that's where you invest your time and energy. Like, it's not for everybody right now to figure out how to do maybe a massive product launch. That might be beyond a threshold. Your threshold may be, holy crap, it's really hard right now just to figure out how to get a 10% conversion rate on my capture page. Getting a 10% conversion rate is hard. And guess what? If you don't have a 10% conversion rate on your capture page, then I'm recommending you spend all your time working really hard right now to figure out how to get that. And once it all of a sudden becomes easy to get a 10% capture page conversion rate, that's when you know it's time to move on and try something harder, which may be creating your first webinar presentation and getting a 2% or a 3% conversion rate to sale from your first webinar for whatever your products or services are. This is the natural progression of hard work and how we scale up our hard work, right? So what's important for each of us to realize is that based on where we're now at, each of us is going to have different work that pertains to us that is really hard. And that's okay. If somebody else finds it easy to make ads and it's still really hard for you, the reality is they probably just have a head start and I've already spent the time here and you haven't spent the time here yet. So now it's your job to spend the time here. But what I want for all of us to take away from this video, to truly take away from this video, is a renewed and profound commitment to actually spending the time doing the hard work necessary to reach our goals. I want it to actually be a conscious decision on all of our parts that we consciously want to spend as much time as we can working hard to reach our goals. That we're not trying to avoid hard work at all, we're actually welcoming hard work. We're actually realizing that without that hard work, there's no way to be successful. There's no success without sweat. So realizing that we have to do that hard work, we welcome it. We don't avoid it at all. And we look for all the opportunities where we can really work our faces off. And we love it. We love working that hard because we know that that's what's going to lead to our success. And I will tell you right now, my friends, this is one of the most rewarding lives that you can imagine. Because when you've worked really hard at a skill to master it, right? And all of a sudden you see the results of that skill and you see what your new abilities are in the world and the fact that you can now impact your family's life and your community's life and your own life, and you've created new levels of freedom and new levels of possibility, and you can go on vacations when you want, and you actually are more in control of your time than you've ever been, and you're actually choosing what work you want to do and not being forced to do what work you have to do just to earn a paycheck. When you begin to experience all these things, it's like, oh my God, how could I have ever thought that whatever work it took to get there wasn't worth it? How could I have ever thought it wasn't worth it to do whatever I had to do to truly create my life of freedom, my life of possibility, my life of enrichment, right? I'm telling you, whatever work you have to do to make that happen is worth it. And now is the time, my friends, now is the time that we recommit. If in case we aren't as committed as we can possibly be, we've got to commit as much as we possibly can. We've got to pull ourselves to the frontier of our own commitment, and we've got to commit everything, I mean everything, to working as hard as we can to reach our goals. And if we don't commit at that level, if we don't really commit right there, then we're missing the true potential of our own personal power. We're missing the true potential of all that work. We're not 100%. When you're 100% committed to working as hard as you need to work to create your goals in life, that's when you do it. That's when you're unstoppable. That's when nothing gets in your way. That's when you are psychotic in the best way possible. And it's that level of psychotic animalness, of commitment to hard work, that I want for all of us, because I know that when we bring our A game, when we bring our top energy, no matter what our background is or where we're coming from, that's when we make breakthroughs. That's when we make stuff happen. That's when we move forward in life faster than ever before. And you know what? You know, some people out there may play half-ass. I'm not one of those guys. If you're going to work with me, if you're going to learn from me, if we're going to be in the same community and on this road of entrepreneurship together, then I've got to teach you what I know. And what I know is 100% game. I don't know how to play an 80% game. I don't know how to play a 90% game. I don't know how to half-ass my way through life. The only thing I know how to do is be 100 million% committed to reaching my goals and reaching my visions and doing whatever it takes to make it happen. Working as hard as it takes to make it happen and doing it. That's the only thing I know, and that's the only thing that I want to teach, because I know it works. I know it produces results. And I know if you live these principles, I know if you commit the way that I've expressed this commitment as possible today, that you will experience these results. You will see magic occur in your life. So just make the choice, my friends. Make the choice. Get rid of any memes around hard work or this industry or whatever that are stopping you from being a psychotic animal, and replace it with all the ones that support you actually gaining fulfillment and being excited about all the really difficult work that you've got to take on in order to be successful. Because when that becomes your new attitude, when that becomes your new perception, your new mentality, you're going to approach that work like you never have before, and you're going to tear through it, and you're going to make magic happen in every way in your life. So my friends, I've taken enough of your time. It's time for you to get back to work. I'll see you soon, my friends. Much love.